Good evening and welcome to the Seth Joyner Show, the podcast. The Eagles are 10-1. Boy, did they pull a rabbit out of their hat on Sunday night. Well, I'm not going to go that far. A lot of people that I've been talking to have been going back and forth with people. Some people say it was a rabbit out of the hat. Some people say it was just a good team. Hey, listen, I believe that the Eagles were just the best team on the football field Sunday night. It didn't look like it for 2.5 quarters. It really didn't. In the first half, Jalen Hurts was 4 for 11, one interception, and a fumble. That's hardly winning football. But like always, this team finds a way to turn things around and get it done when they need to get it done. A lot going on tonight. Thank you guys for joining me. Want you to share, like, comment, tell everybody else about the Seth Joyner Show. Most importantly, I greatly appreciate you guys going over and subscribing to the show. Tell everybody else to subscribe to it. This is the Seth Joyner Show, the podcast brought to you by Bet Parks. Got a full show. Going to take a couple of questions in a minute. Got Ike Reese is going to join me in the second 30 minutes of the show. Got a little breakdown. I'm a little concerned about the Philadelphia Eagles run defense. You know that San Francisco is going to come in here and try to run the ball. I want to give you guys an idea about why the Eagles are struggling, especially last week, because they basically had to play a lot more four-man front with the injury to Fletcher Cox. And to be honest with you, man, they're just not a good football team versus the run in the four-man line. Now, they dominate in the five-man line, but they got some issues. Milton Williams was out last week with a concussion. I'm hoping that he's back 100%, and, hoping beyond hope that, somehow, some way, Fletcher Cox can miraculously recover and give us, 20, 30 reps on Sunday night. But in order to get this run game under control, they're going to have to figure out a way to, stop that run via their five-man line, and it's going to be all hands on deck. I kind of had a somewhat of a rant last week talking about how the national media is just not respecting the Philadelphia Eagles the way that they should. And sure enough, we're starting to see it again. All everybody wants to talk about is the missed opportunities by the Bills and the dropped balls by the Bills and the miscommunication by the Bills. No one really wants to give the Eagles credit. My goodness, how many times have you ever seen a 10-1 team come out as a 1.5-point dog at home after beating, quote unquote, one of the premier football teams in the National Football League the week before? That is what they came out at. As of today, the line has already moved to, the Eagles are a 3-point dog. So, I guess I should stop complaining about it. We won the Super Bowl in 2017. It was a similar situation. Hungry dogs run fast, and the underdogs and the dog mass and all that kind of stuff. If nobody wants to give us respect, we'll get it the old-fashioned way. We'll just damn near take it from you and snatch it from you. How about that? Listen, this football team flat out knows how to win. They know how to get it done. Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, is the epitome of a winning quarterback. His expression never changes. He never gets emotional. He's even keeled. somewhat like a duck on a still pond. He's moving, and it looks like it's effortless because you can't see his legs under the water. But there's some serious paddling going on in order for him to get from point A to point B. Um, and no matter what the circumstances are, no matter how bleak it looks, this football team just believe that if they can keep it close enough, that down the stretch they can find a way to win. And you can talk about all the intangibles of a franchise quarterback. Got to have the big arm. Got to be able to read defenses. Got to make smart decisions. On and on and on and on. But the number one thing for me, you know, is does he know how to win? Can he close the deal? Can he bring his team back? Can he keep fighting? Can he inspire everybody else around him to believe and keep fighting? This is what Jalen Hurts brings to the table. And we know his skill set. We know how great of a football player he is. We know how great of a leader he is, But I think his greatest asset is his resiliency, um, his ability to be unflappable, and how that affects everybody else, how it affects everybody else around him and the entire football team. It's funny because I was listening to Nick Sirianni last week, and he was asked the same question about Brian Johnson, and I'm going to address him in a second here after this comment. He says, the question was, what's the greatest thing that you see in Brian Johnson? And Nick Sirianni said the dude is unflappable. He never panics. He never gets bent out of sorts. At least he doesn't look like he is at any point in time, no matter how good things are going or how bad things are going. Um, that's a trait that both offensive coordinator and quarterback possess to be able to do that. And how comforting, how assuring is that for the entire roster, for the entire offense, for the entire team? Be able to project that in times of chaos. Listen, the Eagles had 99 total yards offense in the first half and 2 turnovers. I'm watching this game and I'm thinking to myself, geez, is there a possibility, that they could really lose this game this way? Josh Allen was playing out of his mind. The defense couldn't get off the field. 13 to 22 on third down conversions on the day. That's well over 50%. Great defenses always aim for 33% or less. And he was just on fire. But they made plays. They got the blocked field goal, which pressured the missed field goal. And then the late interception by James Bradbury. All of those things are a reason why this team won the football game, not because what the Buffalo Bills did wrong so much, but as what the Philadelphia Eagles did right when it counted the most. Because you can play great football for a quarter, but if you can't finish, then what's the point? What's the purpose? The one thing this football team does is they know how to finish. Now, I told you I wanted to touch on Brian Johnson. Guy takes a lot of flack, takes a lot of heat, and I've been guilty in the first couple of weeks of the season of being the same way. I look at what he's doing and I say to myself, if there's a rhyme, is there a rhyme or is there a reason to what he's doing? Sometimes it looks like they call plays formationally that don't necessarily match up. But as I dug deeper and I keep looking at this offense and looking at what he's doing, the things that don't work in the first half wind up being home runs in the second half. From the standpoint that, okay, for example, the bubble screen. When I saw the bubble screen for no gain or for a loss, guess what? I kicked my drink over the same way that you guys were pissed off and y'all were upset too. But you want to know what the big play was off of the bubble screen in the second half? When they went a fake bubble screen to the right, and Devontae Smith caught that touchdown pass. That was a result of that failed bubble screen in the first half. So then what you have to understand about play calling, in my opinion, is that you can have multiple formations and you can have success with a running play off of formation. But if you don't have another running play and 2 or 3 pass plays off of that same formation that complements that formation, so that while I, as a defender or a defensive coordinator, is looking at that formation. I'm anticipating that you're going to come back to that which you had success with. But if I can give you something off of that, if I can give you a play, a pass off of that, now all of a sudden I got you confused. I got you thinking. I got the defense coordinator the next time I line up in that formation wondering, is he going to give me the last play, or is he going to give me the the adjustment off of that play? Does he have another play off of that, or are they going to run the ball, or are they going to throw the ball? To me, that's great offensive coordination. Because if I can get a bead on what you're doing, if I can anticipate what you're doing, with regularity, guess what? It makes it so much easier for me to defend you. It makes it so much easier for me to call defenses against you. And this is what Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni are doing with Jalen Hurts. Yeah, they may be struggling early, but what they know how to do is that they know how to make adjustments, and make adjustments according to formations that you're seeing early in the game that's not having success. Now, granted, I'm in the same boat with you guys. Do I want to see them get off to a fast start? I want to see them have success. I want to see them, create more drama and more issues for defenses early in the game where we're not behind, because I don't believe it's sustainable that you can continue to get down 10 points, to successful, good football teams and come back in the end. At some point in time, that's going to bite you in the behind. But like everything else this season, it's been a process. This team, they started off, they couldn't throw the ball. Then they went to the run game. The run game got them enough, enough leverage and enough breathing space where they could begin to implement their passing game again. They took Jalen away, and then he got the knee injury. He looked so much better running the football last week. Seems like he's healing up. The play calling it's not perfect in the beginning of the game, but it's damn near perfect when you need it to be perfect. Okay. And the players are making the adjustment, the players are making the plays. And man, listen, this team is going to continue to be a handful because they got weapons all across the board. And when you think about a defense coordinator like Bill Belichick likes to take away what you do the absolute best. And if he can take that away from you and you have no other recourse, now he's got you. But the same way that they beat the New England Patriots in Super Bowl 57 is they had too many weapons for Bill to take one away. That's the same scenario with the Eagles right now. Even though Dallas Goedert is out, all of a sudden Devontae Smith steps up. Now that he's become a threat, now teams are going to have to pay more attention to him without Dallas Goedert. Now that's going to open things back up for A.J. Brown again. Calcaterra or Stoll caught a ball in the flat. Now you got to worry about that. You got Boston Scott being implemented from time to time. Now you got to think about him and how they might use him. And you got two running backs, in Swift and Gainwell that can catch the ball out of the backfield. Now you're going to start implementing those guys into what you do. Now you begin to broaden the scope of what defenses have to prepare for and make it that much more difficult for them to defense this offense. On the defensive side of the ball, Josh Allen had a day. People are like, "Oh, it's not sustainable. 500 yards." Well, I go back. Last time that a team racked up 500 yards on the Eagles defense, they won the Super Bowl. Okay, I agree. It's not sustainable. You can't expect to give up that kind of yardage and not be able to get off the field on third down. The Buffalo Bills ran 92 plays to the Eagles 65 plays. So the defense might be gassed. But if you don't want to be gassed, get your ass off the field. Make a play to get off the field. You got to figure out how to get that done. But they've got some issues. It just seemed like, they were dominant in the run game. The last 2 weeks, they haven't been as dominant, more so with a running quarterback than actually the running game of Buffalo last week. Against the Chiefs, they racked up 121 yards in the first half. A lot of that was, Pacheco. But then you come in this week, it's not really a situation where, Buffalo is actually running the ball successfully with the running backs, but they're having success because Josh Allen is getting out of the pocket. Okay. This week's going to be a different deal between Deebo Samuels and Christian McCaffrey. They are going to come in here after watching what teams are run against versus the Eagles the last 2 weeks, and they're going to think they're going to be able to establish the run. And the Eagles better be ready to shut it down, because if they get that going, now the play action pass, the bootlegs, all the misdirection, all of those things that makes their offense go, all the trickery, all the motion, all of that stuff that takes your focus away from where it should be, keying your keys as a defensive player. Now it comes into focus, and that's the trickery that they use from an offensive perspective to be successful. Now, they are also the rare team that can play physical football as well as finesse football. So you better be ready. Better button up, put your mouthpiece on, because they'll run the ball right at you too. But they'll also finesse you with a lot of BS, and you got to be ready, for that too. Listen, this is the Seth Joyner Show, the podcast. Coming up in about 15 minutes, we got Ike coming on. Hopefully he bringing a little bit of that Ike juice with him. We're going to break this thing down even further. But I'm going to take a couple of your questions leading into probably 20 after 20, 25 after the hour that I'm going to go to my break. I'll do my video, my one-on-one breakdown. I'm going to break down to you for you guys 2 things tonight. Why the Eagles are struggling in their 4-man front to stop the run. And I'm also break down to you that final play that the Eagles ran, a phenomenal play, phenomenal blocking scheme, phenomenal block by Jason Kelsey to set up the 12-yard run for the win last week. All right. Adam wants to know, they even have had problems with passes across the middle. Do you think they can have our D linemen get their hands up, especially seeing that they're not getting to the quarterback? Well, yeah, you can always do that. I mean, defensive linemen are trained to do that. But I think that our front is so hell-bent on getting to the quarterback that they believe that they can get there. A lot of times the guys that knock it down are the defensive tackles. And our defensive tackles have done a great job of just, trying to get pressure. And when you're pushing, a lot of times you don't see when the quarterback is really about to throw the ball. More times than not, it's the one tackle that gets double is the guy that really is going to get his hands up and knock a pass down. But, like I said, like I've always said, the coordination between the pass rush and the coverage has to be better. The coverage has got to be tighter. When the coverage is tighter, it gives the D lineman more time to get to the quarterback. And the faster they can get to the quarterback, the better the coverage looks on the back end. And I also think that, I like to see Sean Desai implement, I know he's got some creative things. I've seen him do it. It just seemed like last week all he was going to run from a pressure standpoint, because he's afraid to allow Josh Allen to get out of the pocket, was either a five-man rush where he sent Morrow, or maybe a 6-man rush where you sent both linebackers. But, I like to see a little more creativity, where you give the impression that you're coming from one side, but you really come from the other side, or come with enough pressure where they can't pick it up. You got a free runner to the quarterback. And you keep the quarterback in the pocket. You either make him throw it away or make a bad decision, throw a incomplete pass, or if you can keep him in the pocket and you make him throw it away, you make him, get a grounding. All right. Next question is, Michael wants to know, do we need to run more Sunday to limit San Francisco's possession? Absolutely. I mean, they had 14 possessions in that game last week. That means the defense was on the field for 14 possessions. And I get it. Yeah. The offense was on the field for 14 possessions too. But at the end of the day, like I said earlier, the Buffalo Bills ran 92 plays, while the Eagles only ran 65 plays because the Eagles couldn't get off on third down. I'd love to see the Eagles come out with the intent of dominating the line of scrimmage. But, man, let me tell you something. This front with the addition of Hargrave, who, in my opinion, really doesn't really want to play the run. I think I would make a concerted effort to double him and run at him inside. Um, he's the one guy. I think that he's the one run game weak link as big as he is. Now, he wants to rush the passer is really what he wants to do. If you look at his stance is really a pass rush stance all the time. So his first step is always to stand up and to get up the field in pass rush mode. So use that to your advantage and run at him is what I would do. I would double him and then work up next level to, to the linebacker. Um, but this defensive line, I mean, my goodness, uh, you got Armstead, you got um, you got Chase Young, who they've traded for. You got Randy Gregory, who on a limited amount of plays, when he's in there, he's running on 100 miles an hour. And then on the other side, of course, you got Nick Bosa. That could be problematic if Lane Johnson can't go and you got Jack Stoll line up on him all day. You're going to have to commit a tight end or a running back to help take care of that if you're going to if it's your intent to throw the ball. That's why I think the run game, a steady dose of the run game, okay, even if it's not successful early on, run the football because this is a fast flow defense. The linebackers are fast. Um, you know, Hufunga is out with a torn ACL, so you're going to have the second team strong safety in there. I think that you can make some things happen against their cornerbacks, but if you don't establish the run early, I just get the sense that they're going to have problems in their offense if they don't at least make the 49ers defense believe that they're going to run the football. If you come out and you just go in pass mode, they're going to feast on that. That's what they live for. Hargrave lives to rush the passer. Bosa, you know, Randy Gregory and Chase Young, those guys live to rush the passer. So you're going to have to present the running game to them in a way that makes them cognizant of it. And hopefully, you can get 3-4 yards, on first or second down to make them play honestly. So that if you want to go play action pass, if you want to try to get outside of the defense with some misdirection stuff, that the ability to do so is there. All right. So Craven wants to know, what's your thoughts on the Eagles possibly adding Shaq Leonard to the linebacker depth? Listen, I'm not so sure. I'm trying to figure out why in the world the Colts let him go. Is he injured? He went to Dallas today. He left. Obviously, Dallas is not giving up any information because, now he's on his way to Philadelphia to meet with the Eagles tomorrow. I'm trying to figure out what's wrong with the guy, I also heard that he's been playing all season long, plays 70% of the plays, and all of a sudden, you cut him, and then they go on and they win a game last week. So I'm trying to figure out what in the world, what's behind the release of Shaq Leonard from the Colts. If it's injuries and he's not performing up to snuff, then you stand the possibility of signing a guy who's not able to play, not playing at a high level, and will be more of a hindrance to you than a actual a benefit. Because at the end of the day, he is, he's had a lot of injuries. He's only 28 years old. He's been a great player in this league. But I'm trying to figure out what in the world, what does he have left in the tank that will allow him to come in and be of some use to the Philadelphia Eagles? And why is it that a team would let a good player go? Teams don't let good players go. There's got to be more to this story than meets the eye. And I'm just curious what all the intangibles are. I talked about it earlier in the week. I said, if he's injured, he's not really ready to go, then this is a signing you do in the offseason. You bring him in, bring him in, give him the entire offseason, to get in shape, and whatever's ailing them, get it well, learn the system, so on and so forth. But if there's something physically going on with him, I think I would be a little worried. And obviously the Eagles are not going to know that until they actually sign, until he gets here tomorrow and they work him out and find out exactly what's going on with him. How healthy is he? And look at some film. I mean, I'm sure Howie has looked at the film and seen how productive this guy's been throughout this season. 70% of the plays, that's a lot of plays, on any team in today's game. So, was he just not making plays? Was he a defensive liability? What was the issues and what were the problems? All right, one more question. 17 Birds wants to know, what's the best way to contain Christian McCaffrey? Hey, listen, like I said earlier, they're going to have to get into their 5-man front, and the objective is going to have to be to take him away early. The problem is, they've got these interchangeable parts with him and Debo. They'll put Debo in the backfield and run some of the same plays that they run with Christian McCaffrey. They'll take Christian McCaffrey and put him in the slot and run jet sweeps with him the same way, that Debo Samuels runs them. So I think the Eagles, their defensive ends and linebackers have got to be really cognizant of what's going on in the motion game, because there's a lot of trickery that's going on. Read your keys, understand when Debo is coming in motion. I'm thinking jet sweep every time. So that defensive end away, just stand up, widen out, and make sure you get that play turned in or you make the tackle. The other thing is, you got to get downhill and you got to squeeze those gaps off, and you got to make sure that you get Christian McCaffrey under wraps early in this game. You cannot let him get started, because in my opinion, he is the key to this entire offense. He is what really makes this offense flow, and he is what really makes it go. If they're running the football, then the bootlegs, the misdirection, all of the trickery comes into play. When they're running the ball well. And Brock Purdy is a timing and rhythm quarterback. He wants to play fake, get the ball out of his hand on time, and get it on rhythm. If there's no play fake, if there's no run game, then there's no play fake, and there's no bootleg, and there's no misdirection, which means that now he's got to stand in the pocket and straight drop back and play, rather than doing what they really want to do. You nullify the run, you nullify the things that they really, really want to do in this offense. All right. Okay. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, I'll do my quick breakdown, and then we'll have Ike jump in for the last 30 minutes of the show. All right. Be back in a sec.
When you open the BetParks app, you're in the zone. Winning is always a rush, but the money is in the moments. It's the confidence and underdogs covering, the tension before a clutch turnover, and the pride of a parlay paying off. It's another chance to win big with all-day action. Plus, win your first $10 bet and get $125 in sports bonus bets. You play for fun, you love to win. You bet. BetParks.
If you understand that success is built on trusted relationships and dependable performance, Mid-Penn Bank is the right bank for you. We're on a mission to prove that the right bankers can make a big difference. We work harder, we get things done, and we're in your corner. With financial centers strategically located throughout the greater Philadelphia region and new locations in central New Jersey, we're ready to bring you the best in commercial and personal banking. Call or visit us today to connect with a professional Mid-Penn banker. Member FDIC. Go Eagles!
Welcome to Bridgeview Partners, where IT and business innovation merge. We're not just another tech company. We're your strategic partner in navigating the ever-evolving digital landscape. Our team of experts tailors cutting-edge solutions to fit your unique needs, and ensuring your success is our top priority. Elevate your business with Bridgeview Partners. Discover the power of partnership and tech innovation today. Contact us now to experience the difference. Bridgeview Partners, where innovation meets excellence.
Welcome back, guys. This is the Seth Joyner Show, presented to you by BetParks. Okay, let's jump into our whiteboard session. First off, let's talk about what the Eagles' problems are, against the run in their 5-man front. And I'll give you both so you can see the difference, okay? So a lot of times what you're getting is you're getting this block here on the outside, The double team usually comes, you're getting a double team here on your 3 technique and your 2 technique, okay? There's your center. And then what winds up happening is these 2 guys are getting a push on the tackle, and they're getting so far up the field, that by the time the linebackers figure out what's going on, when they come off, now they've moved the line of scrimmage all the way back here, okay? Um, the tough part is, understanding which way the running back is going to go. Most of the time, if that running back is offset weak, that handoff has to come across the formation. Okay. So if it comes across the formation, then this is the gap responsibility. This defensive tackle is always going to be responsible for this A gap. This defensive tackle is always going to be responsible for this B gap. So now, the minute that you see him come across, the linebacker's got to come downhill and take this guy off and then get in this gap. This is his gap responsibility. So that's his gap. This is the tackle's gap, okay? This linebacker, as soon as he sees that motion, he's got to come downhill right now, take the center off, outside shoulder free. This is his gap. Tackle in this gap. He's got contained. He's got contained. And a lot of times the safety, this is his cutback lane right there, okay? But if these guys don't come downhill right now, you got problems. You got problems all day long, okay? So now let's go back. Let's go back and let me give you the full 5-man look and show you why it is that they're so successful, verse in their 5-man look. So you got Sweat out here. You got Reddick out here. More times than not, you got Jordan Davis, Fletcher Cox, and Jalen Carter. And most of the time, you got a single linebacker here. They're most of the time in a dime look. Okay, so now the gaps are defined. Contain. He's got that gap. More than likely, he's probably going to 2 gap. So if the play is coming this way, he's probably going to play here. He's got that gap. Okay, so that leaves this gap and this gap for the linebacker. He's a free runner to the ball, okay? If that ball is handed off right here, he's a free hitter to the ball. There's no double team. There's nobody to come off and pick him up or pick him off, okay? More times than not, that ball is coming across. So now as it comes across, he's a free runner if he just comes and he scrapes. It's there all day. And then you got the safety back here. The safety's going to fill wherever necessary. But this is why they build a wall across here in the 5-man that makes it really, really, really difficult, for teams to run against them, because you got Jordan Davis moving the line of scrimmage and actually cutting the field in half. And then you got either Fletcher Cox, or more than likely Jalen Carter is just tearing stuff up, So that in a nutshell is basically what's happening as far as the run game is concerned, and why one aspect of it, in my opinion, is more successful than the other. I'm trying to get my thing to act right here. Y'all bear with me a second. It's doing its own thing tonight. All right. So I wanted to show you guys, I wanted to share with you the touchdown play with Jason Kelsey and Jalen Hurts last week, and show you how unbelievable the game planning is for you guys to understand that Brian Johnson is doing a good job. So you got 0 here. This is DeAndre Swift, okay? So you had a defensive end here, a tackle and a 1. You had a 3 technique, okay? Defensive end out here. So you had your slot corner, you had your corner, you had a linebacker, okay? Linebacker here, safety, okay? This safety started to walk down for the blitz, okay? That caused the crash here, the crash here. You had Mailata and Dickerson just wash these guys down, okay? Swift goes in motion, which messes with the eyes of the linebackers. They start to react this way. They don't know what's going on. And then Jason Kelsey comes out here and pulls and blocks this guy. Jalen delays out the gate for a touchdown. Now, you ask yourself, how in the world do they know that this is the blitz that they're running? This is the adjustments that I'm talking about that you guys and even myself aren't cognizant of sometimes, just because we're just looking at the success or the failure of the plays that are being called. This coaching staff is doing a phenomenal job of making adjustments on the fly as the game moves along. And we need to give them credit for that. We need to give Brian Johnson credit for that instead of crucifying this guy each and every week. All right. Up next, my man, I know he's drinking some Ike juice. He's been at it all day long. You guys know him as Ike Reese, my man, my linebacking brethren, joining me now in the show. And we're going to sit back. We're going to talk some Eagles. And, we've been talking today. I've been listening to you, man. So what you got on your mind? What you want to talk about tonight?
Well, what's up, big bro? How you doing?
You got it, man. I appreciate you coming on with me, man.
No, listen, I was sitting back, man. Listen, I'm sitting back enjoying the tutorial that's going on with the X's and O's, brother. You don't get a whole lot of that when you're doing podcasts or what have you. So you're educating us on what's happening, why it's happening, why certain reactions happen to that, adjustments that need to be made. So, oh man, I was enjoying that right there. How you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm great, man. I just want to, this run that this team is on is phenomenal. And I get it. They're not winning the way everybody wants them to win, but they win it. And that's the most important thing. And I just want to share with people, the do's and don'ts, the whys, and all of those things as to why they're having success, because Brian Johnson's taking a lot of heat. But this offense, man, I mean, this offense is really as running as proficiently as it did last year in a lot of ways. And people are cognizant of that just because of how they're winning games and, how they had to come back the last 2 weeks, so much more than anything else. But, what's your perspective, man?
Well, listen, I'm with you. I think Brian Johnson has, unjustifiably received, just way too much criticism for some of the slow starts to games. Listen, nobody wants to go down by double digits in the first half. They obviously plan to come out fast and they want to get on top of these teams. But I think, Seth, we've all been a part of game plans, and you far more than I have. But from an offensive perspective, I would imagine every offensive game plan is to come out and get off to a fast start and get a lead and score on your first drive, score on the second drive. But I mean, there are certain things that happen throughout the course of the game, particularly early, that is somewhat of a filling out process. And so what you may have thought would work and be a benefit to you, you got to also give those other guys on the other side of the football a little credit as well. They also spend countless hours trying to figure out how to slow down this Eagles offense. Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift, arguably one of the best offensive lines, if not the best offensive line in all of football. So you got to give some of these defensive coordinators a little bit of credit. But here's what I like about Brian Johnson and his offensive staff, along with Jalen as the quarterback. They find a way to make adjustments. And whatever may stifle what the initial plan was, it's like a boxing match. And sometimes you may come out with a certain game plan in a boxing match, but then the fighter shows you something else. And so it may take you a round or two to figure out, okay, what's he trying to do to me? How is he trying to attack me? And how should I counter? And that's what the Eagles have been able to do. It may take longer than some people want, but eventually they figure out what defenses are trying to do to them to slow them down, and then they have a counter for it. And so they never panic. There's never any hysteria on the sideline. They tend to regroup, get together, collective minds, and then they come out with another game plan. And it's like, okay, let's see how you stop us now. This is what we're going to do. And that's why they're one of the highest scoring teams in the second half and in the fourth quarter in the entire league. So I think whether people want to question or get frustrated, I think that's fair. It's warranted. Fans are allowed to have those type of emotions. But I think sometimes we have to also take a look at the results and say, okay, they've earned the benefit of the doubt. They've gone through these rough patches in games early, and they usually tend to figure it out. So if we just stick with them and hang with them, they're going to be in this thing in the end. And through 11 games, and they've won 10 of them, there hasn't been a game where anybody has dominated the Eagles. There hasn't been a game where anybody has stifled the Eagles for 4 quarters. So even the one loss to the Jets, that was more of the Eagles, mishaps, turnovers, things of that nature, that it really helped the Jets out versus the Jets doing anything to sort of figure out what the Eagles wanted to do. So, I listen, Brian Johnson, here's what I said on the radio today, Seth, and I said it yesterday as well. All the criticism of Brian Johnson, well, some of you are going to get what you want. Because if this team continues to win and they're playing in Vegas in February, Brian Johnson won't be here next year. He'll be a head coach of a football team somewhere. Yeah. So like his success and what the Eagles are doing offensively and how Jalen has developed, we may not all appreciate it. And I'm just saying we collectively as an Eagles fan base, not right. You and I.
Right.
But the rest of the league, and I guarantee you there'll be some owners out there who are taking notice and appreciate it. And he's going to get some interviews and some phone calls about leading a franchise and, more importantly, helping with the development of a young quarterback somewhere. Because that's what he's done with Jalen Hurts. We all love Jalen and what he has become. Well, don't shortchange Brian Johnson and his impact on that as well.
Listen, man, somebody in my chat room asked, they want to hit Ike Juice. They want me to hit the Ike Juice button. You got a patent on that thing, man? I might have to put that in my audio here, man. So the next time you on, I can hit them with a little bit of that Ike Juice, man.
I do have a patent on it, but you know what? This is brotherly love, my brother. Anything you need, you got it. You know it. Yeah, you got it.
I got you, man. So Ike, listen, man. I at the beginning of the week, I was really in my feelings a little bit, man, because of how the national media is treating Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts, and this Eagles football team. A lot of disrespect, in my opinion. The line comes out Sunday night. San Francisco, is favored by, 1.5. The Eagles are dogs at home, which is like totally unfounded.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
yeah.
it just blows my mind that you could be, 10-1 and you got a home game and you're an underdog in your own stadium. Since then, the line has already moved to, 3 points. I had to turn on the TV last week after the Chiefs game and hear, people like Nick Wright and people on ESPN talking about everything that the Chiefs did wrong to lose the game instead of talking about what the hell the Eagles did right to win the game. And then I wake up Monday morning this week and have to listen to it all over again. I know that we relish the role of the underdog, and, like Jason Kelce said, nobody likes us and we don't care. But come on, man. What the hell you got to do to get some damn respect, man, at 11-1, and every other team in your division, in your conference, and in the National Football League is at least 2 games behind you.
Now, I'm with you there, Seth. And, I guess with some of these guys, the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. They look at the Eagles, and I guess from their viewpoint, they don't see a dominant team, a team that's blowing teams out every week. And so they sort of hold that against them. Whereas, I don't. I really don't. And I've said this all year long. Coming off the year they had last year, and we've seen the track record of teams that have lost in the Super Bowl and how they're able to rebound the following year and remain competitive. It's not a good track record, but the Eagles have debunked that. I don't think that, I don't know, other than maybe the Patriots, I would imagine at some point during their heyday, how many teams have lost the Super Bowl and come back and have this type of a year, 10-1, the way the Eagles have? I don't think many teams have been able to do that. And I don't care if they're winning by 3, they're winning by 7, they're winning by 12. Like, it really doesn't matter when all you're really trying to do, the regular season, Seth, you know this, the regular season is about positioning yourself for a great run in the postseason.
Yep.
And part of that is with today's structure of the postseason, there's only one team who gets a bye week in each conference. So stacking the wins is all that really matters. And if you have the most wins at the end of the year in your conference, you're going to have home field advantage. And regardless of what anybody else says, they got to come through the link to get to the Super Bowl. And so the Eagles, we as fans don't need to apologize for being 10-1, for winning the way that we've won to get to this point. We still got a month and a half to go to lock up this number 1 seed. And I think part of it is, Seth, is that people didn't believe in the Eagles last year. They really didn't believe in Jalen Hurts. And I won't sit here and act like I was some day one believer of Jalen Hurts. Here's what I've always said. The guy has earned everyone's respect and benefit of the doubt through his hard work, through his production, through his results. So for me, it's like, I don't understand why people are still having reservations as to what they're seeing. You can believe your eyes. This is a good football team. This is a very good quarterback, arguably one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in the entire league. Nick Sirianni, as a head coach, I don't care if he doesn't wow you with you know, these unnecessary diarrhea of verbal dynamics, play designs, and we've had the Chip Kellys. We had all these type of guys who think they're smarter than everybody else. And bottom line is their players didn't respond to them. Their players didn't play hard for them. And for Nick Sirianni, that's the one thing he'll always be able to hang his hat on as a head coach, is that my players believe in what I'm saying, what I'm trying to build, the culture that I'm building, the tools that I've given them to go out and be the best that they can be as players. My players are all bought in. And he doesn't need to apologize for the way that he coaches, other than, if I'm keeping it real, I don't need all the fan interaction stuff with the opposing fans. Like I don't need that. I don't need that. But you know what? If as long as he keeps it under control, and if it's what makes him tick, I got no problem with it. I'm just saying, I think he's a great coach. And honestly, I think that stuff distracts away from his impact and importance to this team's success. I think people sort of use those type of things to discredit him or minimize his impact on the success of this team. So part of me says, if he didn't have some of the other stuff, then maybe people would appreciate what he brings to the table the way you and I may appreciate what he brings to the table. But that's small in the grand scheme of the players and what they do on the field. I really believe, Seth, that there's a facet of the national media that just doesn't appreciate or they don't necessarily embrace what we are as a fan base and what we are as a culture, as a sports city, as Philadelphia sports fans. And that goes for the Sixers, the Phillies, the Flyers, and the Eagles. It just goes for all of them. Like it almost seems like we always have to go above and beyond to get everyone else's acceptance. And so I guess that's where, Jason Kelce appropriately came up with the term no one likes us, we don't care. Like that's part of it. But I do believe there's a lack of appreciation, and part of it has to do with how we sort of present it to everyone else. You know, sometimes we can be a little abrasive, if you hadn't noticed.
Hey man, listen, respect is earned two ways. Okay, you can earn it by what you do, but more times than not, respect is something that you just have to take. And
Yes.
this team in this city, we will take that which we deserve. Listen, y'all listen to the Seth Joyner Show presented by Bet Parks. My man Ike Reese is, here with me for the next couple of minutes. Ike, I'm gonna start pulling down some of these questions, man, because people are excited to have you on tonight, man.
For sure, brother. Let's roll. I'm with you.
I'm gonna have my producer pull some questions and throw them at you and let you go at them, because they always got me. Every once in a while, I just go for an hour and just answer all their questions. So I'm gonna let them throw some at you. Those who don't watch the show, some of those that are on YouTube and whatnot, I'm gonna let them fire at you. But you guys make sure that you like, follow, and more than anything, subscribe. To the show over on YouTube. And Ike, my man Todd Green wants to know, how big is this 49ers game this week?
I think it's a big game. I really do. Because I think the 49ers and the Eagles are the two best teams in the entire league. NFC, AFC, don't matter. I think they're the two most complete teams, where they can beat you in multiple ways, whether it's beating you on the ground with a run game, throwing the ball, or winning with their defense. They have both of these teams, I believe, have the ability to do that. I think the Eagles are clearly the best team in the National Football League, but the 49ers sort of have a case, to at least an argument, that they're going to have to go out there and prove Sunday when we get on the field as making a case as the best teams in the league. So I think it's a huge game because there's home field advantage implications from this game. We already have one win versus the Cowboys. So I won't minimize the NFC East matchup versus the Cowboys next week. But at worst, you're going to split with the Cowboys. We already have a win versus them. We only get one shot versus the Niners. And if they were to beat us, the only tough game they have remaining is the Baltimore Ravens, and it's at home. So they could actually run the table and finish 14-3, and we may wind up finishing 14-3. And if we did, they would have the advantage in the tiebreaker. So that's why I think this game is huge for us Sunday.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you a question, and keep it short, because I'm gonna give the rest of this time, that we got, to the listeners.
Okay.
Give me your key on the offensive side and the defensive side for the Philadelphia Eagles to come away with this victory on Sunday night.
Offensively, it's simple for me, Seth. We got to take care of the football, bro. Like we can't keep turning the football over the way we do. And so we've been able to come back from it and overcome it. But against this team can smother you if they get up on you by double digits. This is a classic kind of like a front-running team, whereas they get ahead, they don't let you come back. So to me, offensively, we got to take care of the football, protect Jalen back there. Defensively, I'm looking at being able to tackle well, because the majority of what San Francisco does is yards after the catch. They got great skill position guys that once they get the ball in their hands, they're dynamic and running with the football. So Brock Purdy isn't necessarily going to beat you throwing the ball vertically down the field from a throwing the ball over your head standpoint. But he is a rhythm quarterback, and he just wants to get the ball in Ayuk's hand, Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Christian McCaffrey. So we got to tackle well, in my opinion, and get these guys off the field on third down.
So let me say this before the next question. When we used to play the Redskins back in the day, okay, and Joe Gibbs was the head coach, they had all of this motion and all of this shifting and all this stuff that they used to do. And to be honest with you, man, it took me about to probably my fourth year in the league to kind of figure it out. They had all these interchangeable parts. Art Monk fit where Ricky Jackson fit. Ricky Jackson fit where Clark fit, you know. And really, they only had like five formations and 5 plays. But because of all the motion and all the shifting, they had defensive coordinators and they had, defenses just all discombobulated because of all the motion and all the changes. We ran automatic fronts and coverages back in the day. So it's like you line up in one formation, boom, they shift. Now you got to change the defense. Now they send a guy in motion. The defense changes. You in 3 or 4 defenses before they even run one play. San Francisco, I would bet if you could take their entire offensive scheme and put it into an AI system, that they would spit out and show you that they only have 2 or 3 different formations, but they got so many interchangeable parts, Debo and Christian, Kittle and Juszczyk. And then Ayuk, to me, is really the wild card because he's that one guy that doesn't, really interchange with anybody. But I get the sense that, if this coaching staff can really play the chess game the way they need to, they will figure out that there's a lot of similarities formationally in everything that they do, and that will narrow the scope of how you really attack this offense.
You're so right, Seth. I mean, and I had a chance to, I was taping Eagles game plan earlier today, and that's one of the things we talked about is it's the same personnel package. It's 21 in today's game. We used to call it base personnel, fullback, tailback, 2 wide receivers, and a tight end, right? And so they want to keep you in regular personnel on defense. But to your point, Seth, they can line these guys up in different positions. Like Christian may go out and be wide receiver. Debo will be the running back. Juszczyk could be the tight end. Kittle could be the fullback. Like that's what they do. And so they cause you all these mental gymnastics to try to confuse you. And that's really what their offense is about. But here's where 2 things where I like our chances in this game is A, we played the Miami Dolphins earlier this year. We know Mike McDaniel comes from the school of Kyle Shanahan. And I thought we handled the Miami Dolphins offense and all the stuff that they like to do. I thought we handled that very well in that game plan versus them. And then secondly, Sean Desai was with Seattle last year. So they got a chance to face this offense 3 times. Sean Desai faced this offense 3 times last year. Now, granted, the 49ers won all of those games. This is a different team, meaning the Eagles. But the fact that Sean Desai has familiarity to what Kyle Shanahan likes to do offensively, this will be the 4th time he's seen this offense in over a year. I like our chances as far as a game plan and being prepared for all the mental gymnastics that comes with trying to defend a Kyle Shanahan offense. So you're absolutely right, Seth. It's really simplified when you really grasp what they're trying to do. A lot of it is just trying to get you confused defensively.
Man, where does the time go, man? We got a couple more questions for I'm going to let you go, Ike.
Okay.
So Jose wants to know, I know your defense is having trouble on 3rd down conversions. What can we do to combat that, man? The Buffalo Bills was 13 for 22. That's over 50% now.
First of all, Steph, how many times have you ever seen 22 third downs in one game? I don't think I've ever seen that before. So we got to win on 1st down, Seth. We got to win on 1st down. Now, last week, Josh Allen was a little bit of a wild card. He likes to run the ball himself at times. So he put them in good situations where they could convert those 3rd downs. And he also runs on 3rd down. Brock Purdy is not much of a runner, but we got to win on 1st and 2nd down. And let's see if we can get Brock Purdy in the 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, right? Like, let's see if we can make him beat us with his arm versus everything being in that 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3 range, where that's really where Kyle Shanahan is at his best, because now he can call a running play or a passing play on you.
Mm-hmm. All right, one more. Let's get it. Tom's wants to know, is this the year the Eagles' most complete team in team history? That's interesting.
In team history, I'll tell you what, it is certainly one of the most complete teams. When you look at the talent, I think last year's team was more talented, especially on the defensive side. But I think this year's team is a better team because it's battle tested. It's gone through the wars. It's gone through adversity. They're playing a much tougher schedule this year. We're also having to overcome a little more adversity this year than we did last year from the injury standpoint. That's going to be a big thing for us this week, Seth, before I get out of here, is who do we have available for us? Is Lane going to be available? Will Fletcher be available? Will Zach Cunningham be available? We're hearing that Dallas Goedert may come back if he's not available. So some of those things sort of play into the equation as well. Seth, you played on some great teams that were truly talented. I played on some teams that were truly talented. This is certainly one of the more talented teams, especially offensively. I think there's been some teams in the past, especially the ones you played with, and I'd make an argument, some of the guys I played with, we probably had a more complete defense with more dominant players. But I don't know if either one of us can say we've had an offense like this to complement the defense we played on.
True.
By the way, Seth, before I get out of here, congratulations to your former teammate. He's getting closer, man, to being in that Hall of Fame where he deserves. And hopefully he gets in because, my brother, you deserve to be in there with him. And there's players on that team deserve that recognition. EA, a semifinalist. And like I said, I think you deserve to be right there with him, man. But hopefully EA can get in there this year.
Bro, there is no doubt about it. I got it written down right here, man. I just want to congratulate him. I reached out to him today, reached out to him on social media. I said to listen, man, there's a lot of guys that I've watched with similar numbers and lesser numbers that go into the Hall of Fame before he has. He is long overdue because in the late 80s, the early 90s, into the late 90s, he was one of the best cornerbacks in the National Football League, bar none. And he deserves to be in.
Let me tell you one comment before you let me out of here that I saw. I don't know if I heard the comment or I read it in the tweet when Eric was talking about, just him in a little bit of a humble brag. So when you say to the late 90s to that early 2000s, because he's a part of those Raider teams, EA said, I was a true man-to-man cover guy. I never got help over the top.
Hey, listen, man. In Buddy's defense, Ike, that's the way it was. We blitzed so much. We ran so much 7, 6, 7, and 8-man blitzes that the cornerbacks were literally on an island by themselves all the time. And here's a guy who has led the NFL in interceptions, perennial Pro Bowler, 10+ interception, returns for touchdowns.
Yes, sir.
How in the world some of these other guys got into the Hall before this guy, man? It's the Philly lack of respect, in my opinion. It runs deep, brother. It runs deep. I mean, really deep. How in the world? Think about it. How in the world Reggie White and B. Dog are the only two in the last 15 years that from Philadelphia that's gotten to the Hall of Fame?
Unbelievable, man. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And I tell you, man, like I said, I'm not saying this just because I'm on here with you. I've said this before, whether you were around or not. As far as linebackers go, your numbers stack up with any linebackers that's in the Super Bowl, brother. That's in the Hall of Fame. Your numbers, what you did, the teams you played on, those early 90s Eagles teams, you got a championship on your resume. You played in Super Bowls. You deserve to be in there too, brother. I just feel like that's just the way that I feel, man. It's for that defense, as good as it was, Reggie White shouldn't be the only guy that gets recognized from that defense.
Bro, listen, I appreciate it, but I'm like the reverse Snoop Dogg. I can't speak on it, man. Listen, man, I appreciate you all the time, man. No matter when I pick up the phone and call you and ask you if you're available, man, you there for me, man. I appreciate and love you, man.
All right, bro. Love you, man. Take care.
All right, now that wraps up the show for tonight. Got a big one on the slate for Sunday night. The 49ers coming to town. I can't wait. I've had this circle on the schedule since the schedule came out. And then we follow that up. Guess what? It's the damn Dallas Cowboy week all over again the following week. All right. Hey, listen, congrats to my teammate, Eric Allen. Praying for you to get in, my brother. And like always, man, y'all be good to each other and take care of each other. But most important, please make sure you love each other, man. That's what the world needs more than anything. I will see you guys right back here next week, same place, same time. Thank you for tuning in with me. And we'll chop it up all over again. I'll have another great show for you guys next week. All right? Peace.
Are you selling your investment real estate? Are you interested in deferring your tax with a 1031 exchange? At RevX, we're experts in 1031 exchange planning and the use of passive real estate options using DSTs. Not in the midst of an exchange and want to invest in real estate but don't know where to start? Revolution X has institutional grade real estate options for any size investor right now. Set up a consultation at RevXWealth.com. RevX, defer the tax, maximize the gain. At Mandrecchia Law, we win big personal injury cases, but we always tell our clients up front that those cases almost always hinge on how much insurance coverage people or companies have. At Mandrecchia Law, we don't sell insurance, but we're experts at helping our clients make sure they have the right insurance to protect their businesses and families. Do you have the right insurance? Most people don't. For a consultation, visit mmattorneys.com or call 610-584-0700. Mandrecchia Law, aggressive attorneys who get the job done.
This is Seth Joyner, top analyst for the Birds. I've also analyzed the best auto dealerships, and I drive a Davis Honda.
Fall into savings at Davis Honda. Over 300 cars available. And right now, get rates as low as 0.9% at Davis Honda in Burlington. Plus, you'll get 2 years of free oil changes on every new and used Davis Honda vehicle. See why Davis Honda continues to win outstanding awards for sales and service, including the highest award from Honda, the President's Award. Get to Davis Honda in Burlington.
Fall into savings at Davis Honda. JP Mascaro & Sons is a family-owned, locally operated solid waste service company in business for over 60 years. You've seen the red trucks with the blue elephant that symbolizes strength and reliability. Mascaro is different than other national brands. Like the Birds, Philadelphia is home. They'll take care of all your waste removal needs. They have it all: an experienced workforce, state-of-the-art equipment, a cutting-edge recycling center, and their own disposal facilities. Call 888-MASCARO or visit jpmascaro.com.